Nothing.
Wait, there's no internet? She's playing the no internet game.
The dinosaur where he hops over the cacti. Ooh. I got my my score. All right, so guys, he's stinky. Uh-oh. Oh, he's back. Nothing. Should we start off with a lighthearted story?
Start off with what?
A lighthearted story before we go into the
A
conspiracy.
lighthearted story?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Blonde Chronicles.
Hello.
Yeah. You know where you're at. What's your lighthearted story you want to start off with?
So this is like a two-parter. So it starts off with one. So
Next episode, you gotta see part 2.
Yeah. Hey, they're long. I don't know why. But so the first story is me and this little old lady. We're joking around, and we're going back and forth. We're laughing, and she's like, "Yeah, well, you got to have a sense of humor." And I was like, "I completely agree with you." Because what's the point? What's the point?
You gotta have a sense of humor.
And
if you don't have a sense of humor, you ain't gonna make it. So
yeah. So I'm talking to her, and she was like, "You won't believe this," and I was like,
girl.
Will I not? I was like, spill the tea, girl. And she looks at me and she was like, so like 20, 30 years ago, my mom, she had surgery and the doctors were not
This
very.
is the lady.
Yes, this is the lady telling me.
Sure.
So I'm not going to do an old lady voice. I'm not very great at voice acting. I'm sorry. I know. Sultry voice. Voice acting is not in my career unless
this blows up somehow.
I will do cartoons. I would love that. No, maybe. But so she's like, yeah, like my mom, she got a surgery and the doctors were like, it's not looking that like she's very old. She's older woman to begin with.
Uh-huh.
We're not very optimistic because like she's very frail. She's not in a great condition. So then the doctor's telling the daughter this while they're all in the room. So it's the little old, like her mom laying in the bed, and then her and the doctor standing off in the corner talking. So the woman wakes up, she looks this doctor dead in the eyes, makes a crappy joke, and then goes right back to sleep. And the doctor looks at the daughter and starts busting out laughing. He was like, she's got like at least 20 more years in her. Because that is, I've never seen anyone that had that great of an attitude
As you're dying.
just not make it. And then apparently the mother had a great speedy recovery, and she lived like 20, 30 more years.
That's awesome.
And she was like, that is like honestly the best thing ever. I'm so happy my mother got to, make it past the surgery and everything like that. And I was like, I'm happy for you. You're honestly like, you made a long time too, because she was nearing 100.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so she's talking about her mother.
So how old was her mother when she?
I think she made it past 100.
Away? Really?
Yeah, because she said this was like
that's
around the time before I was born.
How long ago were you born? Like 30 years ago?
Yeah. So like her mother made it 20 years past the surgery, and like they were like stacking the odds against this little lady.
This poor old lady.
Yeah,
She's
like she just had a major surgery, severe trauma, and then the doctor, she cracks a joke and the doctor's like, nope, she's got more years. So then
she proved them wrong.
Yes. So I have another patient a couple weeks later, and we're talking, and he's like, oh, it's such a shame I don't have that long to go. And I looked at his birthday, and I was like, oh, no, you got at least 50 more years.
How old was he at this point?
He was around 50.
Okay.
Around that age range. And I was like, you got like another 50 years. Come on. Like he might have been a little older, give or take, but he was around 50, 60. And I was like, yeah, like 50 more years. Come on. We've got this.
You're all right. You got this.
We've got this.
You'll pull through.
I was like, what are you going on about? Like, why would you say that? And so he pulls down his shirt and he has a zipper. And basically what that is like they kind of like crack you open. And I'm not entirely sure like the complete logistics of the surgery, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But
so the zipper is the name of the surgery.
Yeah. Well,
he didn't have an actual. Like,
well, it kind of looks like a zipper. That's why they call it the zipper.
See, when you said that, I thought you meant like this man had like
no,
an actual
it's a
zipper.
scar.
Okay,
It is
a scar.
It's
okay.
a scar.
That makes that clears it
And
up. In
it's
my
like,
head, I thought you were saying this guy had an actual zipper.
No, like
in
it's a
his
scar
chest.
that goes from like here to probably about his belly button.
Okay.
And it has like a bunch of he has just a bunch of lines. So they from what he said, like they cracked this poor man open. And so like he was like, yeah, do you know what the life expectancy on that is? And I was like, no, I actually don't. Like I've never seen anyone have, especially that large of a scar. Like I've heard of like, you know, aortic surgeries and valve surgeries and everything like that. Because I've met a couple people that had them. And he was like, 3 years.
Ooh.
And he's like, guess how many years it's been since I've had that? I went, how long? He went,
That's like 20.
3 years.
Oh, okay. So he was at that mark.
And I was like, you know, that's just an estimation. I don't believe him. You seem lively. You seem like you got a great attitude towards life. And I tell him the story that this previous little old lady told me a couple weeks prior. And I was like, you've got this. You got to keep the attitude you have right now. Because me and him, we're making jokes this entire time, even though like he dawns this very sad like timeline on me. And I was like, no. If she can make this 20 years,
you're gonna make it another.
With
50.
how technology has come, you're gonna make it
That's very true.
At least 30 more years. And I know like 3 years definitely is not an ideal time frame. And he starts getting a little teary eyed, and I was like, what? And he is like, this has been the hardest year of my life. And hearing anyone say even remotely the nice things that you've said to me is so nice. And he was like, my son was over in, I forget exactly. He said it was like Saudi Arabia or somewhere over there. He was in the Middle East somewhere. And he was at like his camp, and he heard gunshots and his son sobbing. And then the line cuts out.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, I had no idea. I'm calling everybody, anyone I can possibly think of, to get in contact with my son, to find out if my son is alive. And I was like, no.
Okay.
I was like, no.
All right.
So it gets better.
Okay,
so
get better.
He continues on. He says he like he's calling everyone. Like he is like going down the phone book. And finally, he gets a call back. His son's alive. His son is alive. And I think he had an injury, so he was able to come home. Okay. And he said he was sobbing hysterically. That his son.
Valid response to
he
that.
lost so many things, and he was finally able to get his son back, and that is like one of the best moments of his life. And he was like, and this honestly is nice to hear after having that happen not even a full year ago, having my son almost be ripped from me after having that surgery and not having him here. And I was like,
that's gotta be like very difficult to have, like especially as a last year, because I mean being told, you know, you're gonna get the surgery and you have at least like at the most 3 years.
Yeah, it was like 3 to 5 or something.
That's like,
it was crazy.
Like that's such a years ago, 3 years to me would seem like forever. But like as like I'm getting older, I realize that 3 years is not a long years really isn't a long time.
No,
so like being told that you have at the least 3 years, like I feel like that's a huge thing to process for a while as well.
Yeah,
because like that first year would be like,
it's a timer.
That first year, I still got 2 years left.
It's a timer basically.
Like, and then that second year, it's like okay, starting to get real. Then you get hit with that last year, like that last year's gonna hit. And then obviously he said he had that issue with his son and everything. Like that's.
And honestly, I wasn't even gonna like take like one more. Like I was like, okay, my time has been done like 10 minutes ago. I was like, I'm just gonna go home. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'll take one more. And I'm so glad I did.
That's awesome.
And then it turns out, and I am hoping it's this guy. Apparently he came back to get more blood work, so he is still going. And
that's good.
How
long ago was this?
Oh, this was like a month or two ago.
Okay.
So like it was like over the span of a couple months. So I have one of my coworkers come up to me and she's like, hey, like I was talking to this guy, and I was like, yeah. And she said that I left such an impactful like just impression on him, that he was asking like where I was, how I'm doing. And he awesome. And he said like you brought him to tears almost. Like it was such a great moment, such a great interaction for him, and he wished you were here. So he was like, there's nothing against me. And I was like, well, like obviously she's a great worker. Like yeah. Obviously it wasn't anything against her. And she was like, he's so sad that like he wasn't able to see you. He was really hoping that the next time he came back, it was just like that you were there. And he just kept going on and on about you. And I was like,
that's that's so like
that. And like, if there is like one thing, like the last good deed I've ever done, which it hasn't been, it isn't the last good deed I've ever done.
But like the most recent one, I guess, is
the most memorable.
Memorable, yeah.
I feel like, because like that is such like a moment to where like you don't know, like what you're like, because like honestly, I always say that to people. I'm like, you've got a while longer. Like I don't care who you are, you've got a lot longer to live. You gotta just have the will. You gotta will through it. I don't know how, but if there's a will, there's a way.
It's crazy that you bring that up, because like the whole like, you know, having a certain amount of time. I'm not saying that I'm dying. That's not what I'm
Guys,
bringing up.
You're hearing it here first.
But like literally today, like I'm sitting there like having a conversation, like not having a conversation with myself essentially. Like I was on my break and I was sitting in my car and like thinking about, you know, the last year of my life has been really hard. And I mean, obviously there's a difference in between what
you're hearing us like this story. I feel like the perfect time.
Yeah.
It's aligning.
It's just crazy because you say that, and like it was like I'm sitting there in my car and I'm thinking back to even to the last like few months that I've had have been like such a nice thing to have. But it was like there was a point like 4 months ago that like I was done. Like I was over it. Like,
I feel like everyone
and like
has those moments.
I mean, everybody does, but like this was
anymore.
like I was on the road of doing it.
Which is never a good thing.
Which is not a good thing. And in my defense, I secluded myself. I didn't talk to anybody, which is not the proper way to handle that kind of situation.
Get a therapist.
Talk to your friends. Like you have people. Like I have plenty of people that care about me to like talk to, but it was like I didn't want to. So like I was sitting there today and I'm like, if that would have happened 4 months ago, like these last 4 months that have been really good, I wouldn't have had. I wouldn't be here like starting. I wouldn't be starting a podcast. But like, it's such a thing because I grew up around death a lot growing up. All of my grandparents have passed away. A lot of my family members have passed away. So like, even from a young age, I was exposed to that quite frequently. So going into growing up, like I know everybody has that, like you don't really look forward to death. So like it's kind of and I'm sitting there and I'm like, time goes by so fast. Like right now, like how I'm going, like I live week by week at this point because I'm like, because I used to like sit there, I'm like, oh, I live it, you know, plan out the majority of my time. You know, but
day by day.
But then again, you can't really plan that far ahead. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But like right now, like how it is.
You can have a general idea, I feel like. Yeah, like I'm going to wake up, gonna brush my teeth, and do something nice for yourself. Like go to the gym, get a smoothie. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like at least something for yourself. And then if you have to go to work, obviously, like go to work. But like you gotta always think of like put a little spice for yourself.
Yeah, you gotta treat yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just like I sat there and I'm like thinking, I'm like, I'm gonna be 25 in like 3 months. And like I've been asked this multiple times and it was scary. Like, and it's like, what is one age that you're dreading to, you know, to reach?
30.
20, I'm like 25.
30.
Like my mid 20. Like that's just like 25 just seems like such a big number. Like 20, like from 20 to 24 was like, oh, you know, 20s. But like seeing 25, it's just like.
I know you're at that like age range where people are like, oh, you're in your like mid to late.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in my late 20s in the year. It's like, oh my gosh,
in the following year, you're gonna be technically
like I'm 5 years away from being 30.
Yeah,
and it's difficult because I constantly compare myself to other people and like where they're at in their lives, and I hate that I do it. And it's such a bad habit that I have of myself because like when I see my friends that are younger than me, that are married. I mean, like I think. So it was you guys,
yeah,
Cassie and Cody,
yeah,
Micah and his wife, Zach and Liver this year,
Piper
and Robert got married. A group of my friends, like I'm like, in the past 2 years, 5 of my friends group, like 5 pairs of my friends have gotten married, and it's just like, I unfortunately haven't had the best luck in that department, and I'm not like upset. Like I'm not upset that you guys like. I'm very very happy for you guys.
That's the crappy thing. Is like you can't like
And I
put a timeline on that, and it's not like you can just magically know like, oh, today.
Yeah,
I'm going to meet my soulmate.
I can't sit there and think, oh yeah, today's gonna be the day that it happens and all this stuff. But like, and I'm not like upset. Like, 'cause I'm super happy for everybody. This is super cool to be a part of those things to everybody.
Yeah.
But it's just like I'm 25. I'm gonna be 25, and like I honestly really haven't done much in these last few years. I mean,
you had to move entire states. I feel like that's enough like that you can just relax for a couple years. Personally, I think at least 10 years after that.
Once I hit 17, moving here, I had just turned 18 after I moved here to Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
and like I didn't have any.
You got 3 more years before something.
Like, I didn't have anything when I moved here. Like, I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anybody. So, like, moving here was, like, 100% a complete restart of everything.
Yeah.
And then it was different. And then I was still living with my parents at the time. And then once they moved away, like, when I moved into
a farm.
When they moved away and when I stayed, because I was like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. Like, I have my friends. I have my job.
You don't want to be a farm boy.
I'm not starting over again. I couldn't do that. So like now, like there's just been a lot that's happened. I moved 3 times in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's awful.
I'm on my 3rd car. Like it's so much has happened, and it's just like I sit there and I'm like, oh, well, they're doing this. And I'm like, but then again, everybody's timeline's different.
Yeah.
Like just because them and them got married, 17 and 18, that's different. Like they're younger, or someone that gets married at 27 and 28.
If you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would not be telling you
that you were married.
Yeah, because on 10 years ago, I wouldn't be like, ew, gross, cutie.
I mean, even like when I first met you, you were like that.
Yeah,
you were like, so how long ago was that? That was it 3 years?
3 years ago.
3 years?
If you would have even asked me 3 years ago, to the date, given... Actually, I think this is my 3-year anniversary of my car accident. No, it's coming up.
Oh.
I don't even know the date.
First we talk about the car, and then first we talk about the song, and now we're talking.
If you would have asked me, even given, because I was in a relationship 3 years ago with my ex-boyfriend. Okay. If you would have asked me then, I would be like, no, I'm probably not going to be getting married within anytime soon, or because honestly, I feel like I'm not going to go too much into it, but I feel like it just wasn't it just didn't.
It wasn't your thing. It didn't attract you in a way that most people do. You weren't going towards that.
It just didn't feel like it was the time point in my life.
Yeah, no.
If that makes any it just felt like it was
understandable.
It just felt like it was oh, that's probably never going to happen, just based on not even the lifestyle I was living, just based on just the events that were occurring around me. Is I'm probably gonna be the last. I'm gonna be that one person in those rom-com movies where I get married dead last. I'm 40.
That's me. I have made the joke countless times with our friend group that I'm going to be the last one to be married, and come the end of this year, I will be the last.
Well, you've incorporated Austin, and he's not.
Yes, I mean, yeah, okay. See, it's a fight between me and Austin at this point, then, because
you guys got to race it out.
So before Austin, not including Austin in this situation,
yes.
I've always made the joke that I'm going to be the last one to be married, and it did it, and it was everybody was yeah, probably, and it was ooh.
But I feel like you don't put yourself out to a position where you really can meet new people, because the only people you've ever really associated with were coworkers, and I think the only people we. I
don't go anywhere.
I was gonna say, I feel like the only people that you really know are just coworkers, honestly.
Yeah. I myself, like I said, I don't put myself in a position. I don't go out to places on my...
Live my dream. Go to a bookshop and just be that mysterious...
just the mysterious guy in the corner reading...
sipping an obnoxious drink and be oh, you're reading Fibonacci's code? I don't even think that's a book,
it's... I've always made the joke, and it unfortunately is how it's going to be, because at the end of this year, with Zach and Liv getting married, that just leaves me. There's nobody else after that. Then there's Austin, but that's different. He was. You guys gotta race it out. He was a little bit of a late addition to the group, but I'm glad that he's a part of the group. But it's just crazy to think.
Me and him, we're the last people added to the group before it dismantled.
Yeah. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was one of those things that, like, after we all had left, it was kind of like...
You gotta bleep that out.
I'll do that later. After we all left the place, we all just kind of, like, whatever was that Chick-fil-A group, that was a Chick-fil-A group.
Yeah.
Because at that point, the only ones that were still working there towards the end were me and Piper.
Yeah.
And Austin really wasn't a part of the group until...
Honestly, after everyone left, I feel like...
Until so, you know...
I feel like even after you left, he didn't start really getting...
No. In all honesty, towards the beginning, like, me and Austin didn't really talk that much.
I vaguely remember Austin because I trained him and another lad, another fellow. He literally didn't end up staying shortly after because I think
the fact that you and Austin worked at the same time doesn't correlate.
It was a very short time period.
It doesn't it doesn't register the fact, like, the timeline.
Very short.
I would love to go through and just, like, map out, like, when everybody started and ended, to see, like, where was that line where, like, we all were in that restaurant at the same time. Like,
well, for the majority of it, like, for most people, it had been early on because, like, obviously Austin doesn't remember John.
So what, like, early 21? Do you think is probably like?
Probably when I first started, is when everyone was still there.
Because Cassie was still there.
Yeah.
Was Colton still there as well?
He started right after they started dating in, like, what? May? I think they started dating around May.
Well, see, so what? It's Robert. It's Robert, Piper, Liv, Zach.
Yeah.
Me, you, Sagan, Cassie, Colton.
Also John and Dev, but I don't know if
John, Dev. But, like, that's where, like, it's kind of funky because they all left in a weird position, like, in a weird spot between it. So, like, it's hard to know where that was. I know John was there for a good bit after, but then obviously JT's is still part of that too. But, like, I don't remember where JT was in that situation, in that timeline. Like, so, like, it all just it was a very weird timeline. But, like, even after, I mean, I think at the most, like, I've been gone for over a year. Little over almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So, like, but, like, we're all still as close of friends as we were working at that place. I mean, obviously it's different because
we don't keep in contact.
We don't keep in contact as much, but we're all adults now.
Yeah.
More than half of you guys are married, and, like, you know,
one more wedding. Hi, Zach.
One more wedding this year.
Hi, Zach and Liv. I don't know if you guys are gonna be together.
But, like, it's just like. The timeline's a very weird timeline to, like, look back on.
Yeah.
But, like, it's still really cool that, like, there's going to be a point, like the cottage prom that we do every year. I think everybody's been a part of that every year. I think last year Devlin wasn't a part of it.
Yeah.
I think she was out. But, like, we still have that once a year, like, everybody gets together.
I feel like it can be probably, like, we could probably do, like, a weekend thing, like, once a month or something. Yeah. It's just a matter of actually...
We need to find a way to, like, put everybody's schedules into one thing.
I mean, there's, like, those, like, Google Doc things. You know what I mean? Or
put in your schedule, and we will plan a lunch or something.
Or like a Google
around.
Planner.
Yeah, like, I'm sure there's
a calendar.
I'm sure there's a way to.
Honestly, a calendar.
Look it up. Is there an app that you can put in your friends' schedules? I feel like we're not even going to get into the conspiracy theories part of this because it's just like we've been having a decent conversation, but. What was where was I getting with this? It was like, oh, me being the last person, all that. Oh, like everybody, back to what I was trying to say, was everybody is at a different point in their lives and everybody starts at different times.
It's basically just like a bunch of calendar apps.
Oh, okay.
So honestly, probably.
So we'll just make a Google Calendar with everybody's schedules. But yeah, so, like, everybody, I have to keep reminding myself that, like, everybody's life is at a different time.
Just be like, as cynical as I am, and then, bam, right in your face, out of nowhere.
It'll happen. I have faith that it'll happen one day. I think I have tried to force it too much in a couple situations, and it didn't really. It just got me hurt. So
it happens. It happens.
I mean, you know, some of you people that are listening know, but. Stop looking at the camera like that. But it's just crazy to see, like, how everybody's changed over the last couple years. Now we're all still, like, don't keep in contact as much, but we still can keep in contact.
I mean, it's like one of those things where, like, you just need, like, more dating experience before. You know what I mean? Like, you have to hit a quota. Like one of those movies. You have to, like, a dating quota.
Yeah.
It's like literally like romantic movies. You got to hit your quota.
That doesn't, like, appeal to me, though. That's the thing. Like, it really doesn't.
You got to get your heart broken at least 15 times, and then you meet your true love.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I've had it broken enough. I think I'm okay with. I think I've gotten to the point, and it was like towards the last like month or two, or like that month or two after the second time it happened.
No.
I sat there and I was like, I'm done with this. Like, I want what I want, and I will wait for as long as it takes to get that. It's just like I have to keep telling myself,
be picky.
I'm 25. I'm gonna be 25. I'm gonna be 25. Like, I don't have to rush it. I have plenty of time left. But then
Go
again,
for an older lady, a more established lady, a lady that's already like, you know what I mean?
yeah. But it's just like I need to just sit there and like really
Find you a nice cougar.
No, older than me is the most I will go older than me is maybe like 3 years.
What's wrong with a 30-year-old?
That 5 years, that's a long 5 years. There's nothing wrong with
What's wrong
that.
with
That's
5
just not
years?
what I want.
What's wrong with 5 years?
It's not-
It's 30.
it's
It's,
not
a
what I
nice even
want.
number.
It is a nice even number, but it's just not for me. If that makes any sense.
Watch, you're gonna fall in love with a 30-year-old. While we're walking out, while we're walking out, it's gonna be like a damsel in distress moment, and then it's like,
I'm here. I'm come to rescue.
oh no, lady in distress, let me help you across a poodle.
Hold on here.
Take my jacket.
I don't want. Hold on. Should I take off my shirt? Hold on. You gotta see what my shirt is. I do have a shirt on under this. Yeah,
I hope so.
You gotta close your eyes. It's a surprise. And if you're listening on Spotify, you won't be able to see it. But watching it, you'll see. Okay.
Am I good?
Yeah.
I've never seen a shirt that's so relatable in my life.
And for the people that are listening, it is a picture of a Remy from Ratatouille plush.
I don't even. Is it like the like the clay? Are you sure it's not clay?
That's a plush. Yeah, it's a plush.
Oh, it's a plushie?
And it says, "I don't want to cook anymore. I want to die." And
rigatoni.
I saw it on, I think it was like that Temu app or whatever.
Oh yeah.
It was like $5.
Did you hear they're like stealing people's identities and everything?
Hey,
I don't know if that's a
it
full
was
conspiracy theory.
Worth it for this shirt. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't know if that's a full conspiracy theory or not, but that definitely, I've heard like people like being like, oh, they force. That's another one. Like they force children.
Oh, no.
This one could be true. They like force children to do like manual labor and like hands like do everything there. So that one, I don't know if that was an actual conspiracy theory, but that one could be.
We'll get more into that.
That one could be real, which is terrifying. Those poor children.
But yeah, so we'll get into the conspiracy theories into the next episode. So
I thought that
you gotta keep.
I thought that was cute.
That is cute.
I thought, no, that's not. That is not cute.
It is not cute from Practical Jokers. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed our lighthearted conversations that we had.
Wholesome
Conversations. It was totally unexpected, but it ended up being a longer conversation than we thought. But next episode, I think we're digging into some conspiracy theories, and I have no idea what these are. So she is guiding me along the way. The only conspiracy theory I know about is the Illuminati.
There are so many more.
And I just know the name.
There are so many.
All right. Well, you want to say goodbye to them?
Goodbye.